Well, 5 years ago, in the summer of 2015, Europe faced its biggest migration crisis since World War II. Hundreds of thousands of desperate people fleeing war and economic hardship tried to reach the continent. The largest group of migrants making the perilous journey came from Syria, where 4 years of civil war had forced them to flee. President Bashar al-Assad's forces had increased their attacks on opposition's strongholds, and the so-called Islamic State was gaining strength. But people from many other countries, including Afghanistan, Iraq, Pakistan, Eritrea, they also left their homelands in search of a better future in Europe. Now, faced with an unprecedented wave, Chancellor Angela Merkel's government decided to let them in, and almost 1 million migrants claimed asylum here. As part of our series, looking back on that summer 5 years ago, we met up with 2 of those migrants.
My
name is perilous Suleiman. I was born in 1980. I fled Eritrea because I could no longer stand the never-ending military service.
Hamba is my name. I'm 31 years old. I arrived in Germany in 2015. I had to leave Syria.
After 2 years of military service, I came home for the first time. I had only seen my daughter once at birth and never again after that. When I got home, I walked right past her. I just didn't recognize her. Nothing in life could be any sadder than that.
I was arrested by the Secret Service. When I got out of prison, I couldn't stay in Syria. I wasn't afraid to flee. You're often hungry, you are tired. You want to sleep in a real bed, not on the ground.
I went off on my own at first. I didn't want the whole family to flee together. If something were to happen, I wanted it to happen only to me. I came to Germany on May 2nd, 2015. At first I was in Munich, then I was sent to Berlin.
In Syria, I was a doctor. I wanted to get professional training and continue that here. Doctors here in Germany are not allowed to work without a license. So I thought, okay, what can I do? I could work as an interpreter, as a volunteer. People were nice and taught me some German words.
During the asylum procedure, I was told that I could apply for family reunification. But I would then have to show documents that do not exist in Eritrea. Marriage certificates, birth certificates. In 2017, my wife finally had a hearing at the German embassy. Right after that, I wanted to call her to see how it went. Then I found out that she died suddenly. I didn't understand it at all. I lost my will to live.
In 2017, I passed the professional language exam at the Medical Association of Berlin, then the knowledge exam. Then I got my license to practice medicine. Then I got my first job as a resident in neurology. My work is my life. It's my whole life.
I'm not well. I can never be well without my 4 children. I cannot sleep. I'm powerless.
I can't say whether I want to go back to Syria and live there or stay here forever. Maybe going back and forth will be possible, if all goes well.
My hope is that my children can come to me. After all, that's what I'm fighting for, because I can't go back.
And let's get more on the situation for migrants in Germany. We are joined now by Katharina Spies. She is the head of the Department for Education and Family at the German Institute for Economic Research in Berlin. The institute has published several studies assessing migration to Germany. Welcome to the program, and thank you so much for joining us. In our report there, we just heard about the very different experiences of two migrants who came to Germany. Do they tie in with what you have learned from other migrants?
Well, the perception of migrants is very different, and therefore in our reports we usually look on different aspects. Some of the experience which we heard from the two refugees who came to Germany fit what we find, in particular the well-being, which is really decreasing if the children are still abroad. This is something what we find in various studies, that family reunification is a very important thing for the well-being of refugees. On the other hand, we also find, if we look on this example of this man from Syria who is a doctor, that refugees, once they come to Germany, have relatively high expectations concerning their employment in Germany. And what we find is that not all of these expectations could be really met.
Okay.
In particular, in particular, women and refugees with mentally health problems, they usually can't meet their expectations.
Okay, so reunification, meeting the expectations when it comes to employment. What are the other issues that, migrants, refugees still encounter in the country?
Well, we also looked on children and adolescents as one example. So one thing what I think is very positive is that children and adolescents who are at school actually have a very strong belonging to their school. This belonging is even stronger than what we find for other students in Germany. But on the other hand, what we also find that they are underrepresented in sport clubs or in other extracurricular activities, activities which would help them actually to be better integrated into the German society.
We have to mention
These
that
are
back
examples. Yeah, sorry.
Apologies. Back in 2015, we know that German Chancellor Angela Merkel told the country, we can do this. Looking back, was she right?
I think we saw a lot of fields and aspects where I would say we are on a good way. But I would say after 3 years, and this is what our reports are looking at, 3 years after the huge immigration into Germany, we are not at the end of the integration process. So we have reached a lot, but there are still areas where we still have to do more efforts to integrate, in particular, female refugees, to really get good education for children and adolescents, and also for some other adult refugees. So I would say partly yes, but we shouldn't. We should continue with all our efforts, because it's still too early to say, well, we managed it.
Thank you so much for joining us to share that assessment. Katharina Spies, head of the Department for Education and Family at the German Institute for Economic Research. We appreciate it.